When we're born, we step into this life as blank canvases, like empty slates with nothing drawn on them yet. And as children, we don't have any perspective about the world or who we should be. We're just here soaking up the experiences, absorbing everything our environment throws at us. Parents, siblings, teachers, friends, they all hand us different paintbrushes. They add color, they shade in certain areas, and then by around 6 or 7 years old, we end up with a rough sketch of who we believe we are. That outline for most people becomes the very map they follow for the rest of their lives. Sure, as we grow older, we might toss on a couple new brush strokes or tweak a few colors here and there, but rarely do we break the entire canvas down and start over. And that's why you hear so many people talking about returning to a childlike state. It's the idea of wiping the slate clean and becoming open again, collecting brand new perspectives without all the baggage that's weighed us down. But doing that can be tough, right? Because we've been trained through our education system, through our parents, and through society in general to cling on to what we already know. We assume that the painting we have is all there is. Now, it puts you into what I call the comfort cage. It's that mental and emotional space we lock ourselves into. And look, why is it a cage? Because even though it's got the word comfort slapped on it, it's still a cage. We feel safe in there because it's familiar, the same old beliefs, the same old stories, the same old ways of doing things. Like, you know the script, man. But even if it's comfortable, it keeps us stuck. It limits our potential, our joy, and our ability to create new realities for ourselves. We assume that everything we learned in those early years must be the absolute truth, when in reality, it's just a perspective we picked up from the people around us. Yet, most of us stay in that cage. We try to solve life's problems with the exact same mindset that we created them. Einstein said, you can't solve problems with the same level of thinking we used to create them. And for me, that means you can't shift your results or break through obstacles if you're stuck in the same identity that shapes those obstacles in the first place. A new level of performance, a new level of success, whatever that means to you, requires a new identity, or at least a willingness to explore one. So, what if you don't evolve? Let's paint a picture, pun intended. If you refuse to break out your comfort cage, you will probably find yourself swimming in cynicism and resignation. You'll start rolling your eyes at new ideas, telling yourself, oh, that's how life is. Nothing ever changes. 20, 30, 40 years might pass and you'll still be singing the same old tune, trapped behind the same beliefs and perspectives you picked up when you were younger. You might become that person who's jaded about money, about relationships, about self-improvement, about everything. And eventually you might not even try anymore. It's like you'll be staring through the bars of your cage, complaining about how small your world is, whilst refusing to admit that the door's been unlocked the entire time. And this isn't a doomsday prophecy. It's just a reality check for what happens when you let the painting of your identity stay exactly the same for decades. If you can't let in any fresh perspectives, if you can't be that child again, wide-eyed, curious, you'll end up missing out on the life you could have built for yourself. Think about it. What do we mean by childlike state? It's not about being childish or irresponsible. It's about being open to learn again, open to seeing the world without all the clutter or biases, fears, and assumptions. Babies are like sponges, right? They're constantly processing everything around them. They're not rolling their eyes or shutting out new information because of some ancient grudge or assumption. And that's exactly the energy you want to tap into as an adult if you're looking to level up in your life or business. For me, I had to learn this the hard way. My early life was a bit of a mixed bag, right? Private school, public school, stint of homeschool. I got to see firsthand how different environments shape different people's outlooks. Some folks had money and saw it as just a tool, no big deal, right? Others acted like money was the be all and end all, or the root of their struggles. And I used to blame everything, blame money for everything. I watched my mum hustle like crazy, yet there always seemed to be something just out of reach. My frustration with money turned into anger. I had the perspective that money was either evil or simply a nuisance, right? Something that caused nothing but problems. And then fast forward a bit, I ran away from home, started working wherever I could, but I still held on to that belief money didn't matter. Because of that mindset, I never really embraced opportunities to earn more, to learn more, or take myself seriously in a professional sense. And it wasn't until I decided to question my perspective on money, to see it as a tool that could save me time and help me learn faster, things started to shift for me. Suddenly, I saw doors open. I invested in coaches, training, property. I hit my first 20K month. And the big change wasn't the money itself. It was my identity around money. It was me stepping out of my comfort cage just enough to say, wait, maybe I've been wrong all this time. And how many perspectives are you holding on to that are quietly limiting your experience of the world? How many core beliefs that felt so solid at age 7, 8, 9 are still running the show in your 30s, 40s, or even beyond? And if you want a breakthrough, if you want to create a new future, you need to be willing to question all of it. That means questioning your own truth, your own assumptions, and even the new things you learn. It's a continuous process of collecting perspectives, testing them out, and adopting what serves you. Think of your life as a series of experiments. There's no moral judgment in trying something new and deciding it doesn't fit. That's just part of the discovery process. And that's exactly what I mean by collecting perspective and childlike curiosity. Like, kids don't shame themselves if they try and pick up a crayon with their left hand and it feels awkward. They just switch hands and grab a different color. And as adults, we have to relearn how to do that without all the self-criticism. Like, it might sound complicated, but it doesn't have to be. Start by clarifying your vision for yourself. Who do you want to become? What life do you want to create? What would actually make you feel alive and energized and purposeful? Then look at where you are now. See what's holding you back. Be honest about it. Maybe it's your belief that you're not talented enough, or that your relationships always end badly, or that money is evil. And look, write those things down and start poking holes in them. Ask yourself, is this really true? Ask yourself, where did this belief come from? Ask yourself, do I want to actually carry on in this position? And then lastly, think of yourself, ask this question: do I actually still agree with that belief? And as you do this, collect fresh perspectives like souvenirs from adventures. Read books, watch videos, talk to people who have the results you want. But don't just accept everything. Stay skeptical. Remember, you're building a brand new painting, not just snapping new paint on an old one. You're free to experiment. And if something clicks, awesome. And if it doesn't, just keep looking. And the harsh truth is, if you decide to stay in your comfort cage, you won't die, most likely. Life will just pass you by the same way as it is right now. You get used to feeling unfulfilled. You get used to resentment. Cynicism will creep in and like a slow poison until you find yourself ranting about how everything is rigged, how it's all pointless, how you knew you'd never make it big anyway. Not exactly fun, is it? Not the best headspace. And I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying it because I've been close to that place. I've flirted with cynicism. I've seen how it kills ambition and traps us in these little boxes. And luckily, I managed to pry open that cage door and walk out. And even if it was just a few steps at a time, I still did it. And look, the fact that you're watching this video, listening to this podcast right now suggests you're looking for something, a secret, a key, a push. You want to shift your identity to perform at a higher level, to actually create the results you've been dreaming about. And the big revelation, it all starts letting go of who you think you are. Like, your who is not set in stone. That identity from 7, 15, 18, 21, terrible experience, doesn't have to dictate everything about your future. If you're serious about it, if you really want to accelerate your growth, get a mentor, invest in training, surround yourself with people who live in the space that you want to occupy. And that's exactly what I did with property. That's what I've done with my money. That's what I've done with my relationships. And it's collapsed time for me, right? I have skyrocketed to a level I never thought was possible when I was stuck working in a recycling center at 17, cursing money under my breath, you know? So here's my final question to you. Will you let the old painting, the one formed by childhood experiences and other people's perspectives, define your entire life? Or will you grab a new brush and start repainting the canvas of who you are? Because the only real difference between the person who breaks free and the one who remains caged is the willingness to question everything, to be that child once more, open and ready to see the world differently. I invite you to step out of that comfort cage. And look, reach out if you want to talk about how to accelerate the shift the same way I did, how to balance your business, your relationships, your personal growth, and step into the most powerful version of yourself. Take it from someone who's been there. Once you poke your head outside the bars, you'll see just how vast and colorful life can be. Ciao.